Podcast of Poseidon is a spoiler-heavy podcast.
That's an understatement.
We're going to discuss not just the events of this book, but the Rhineverse as a whole, and really anything that we feel is relevant. You can find full spoiler warnings in the show notes.
Also, just today, I loaned my boss the first Lightning Thief book because she's, like, elder millennial, and she was like, never heard of these books before, and I was like, they are literally my childhood, so I gave her the
Wild!
Lightning
Yeah, oh,
Thief.
that's awesome! Way to spread the good word, Sam. Hello, mortals, monsters, and myth lovers alike. You're listening to Podcast of Poseidon, where we explore how ancient myths become modern pop culture, berating Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is Chapter 35, Aphrodite. I'm your co-host, on loan from the Hunters of Artemis, Darian Smart. Joining me is my co-host and brother, hailing from the island of Cyprus, DJ.
How's everybody doing today? The island of Cyprus is pretty great. You see some weird things. Weirdest thing I saw was somebody rising from the ocean.
I feel like that shouldn't be super weird, but I think maybe you're leaving out some details that made it extra weird. Okay, well, all right, well, we should go investigate that, but first I think we need some sunscreen if we're going to be spending time on the beach. All right, let's go to the camp store.
It's a new month, which means it's time for our monthly patron donation. Every month, we donate $1 for every patron we have on Patreon to an organization working to create a net positive in the world.
This month, we're donating to the National Center for Family Learning. NCFL works to eradicate poverty through education solutions for families. Partnering with educators, literacy advocates, and policymakers, NCFL develops and provides programming, professional development, and resources for families.
We currently have 6 patrons, so we'll be donating $20 out of pocket, bringing our total donation to $26. You can learn more about NCFL through the link in our show notes.
Thank you to our patrons for making this donation possible. If you're interested in joining this community, you can check us out at patreon.com/podcast of Poseidon.
Patrons enjoy exclusive content, including bonus episodes on off weeks and monthly remyth episodes where we explore mythology outside of Percy Jackson series. Anyways, back to the show.
All right. Well, hey, today we are joined by Sam from the Chaos Cast. She's a PhD student, a badass woman in STEM, a longtime Percy Jackson fan, and just an all-around cool person. Trust me, I know. I listen to her podcast. Sam, say hi.
Hello, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for being here. Would you like to tell us what your Rhineverse affiliation is?
Yes, I believe I am a child of Hephaestus.
Understandable.
I am a mechanical engineer, and he is my patron god.
That makes so much sense.
Nice.
That makes so much sense. So, follow-up question. Sam, why are you here today?
I'm here today because I have been reading these books for 10 plus years and love them, and also, like, peak pandemic, I needed some comfort characters, and so I picked up Lightning Thief, and I've been going all the way through. I actually had never read any of the Trials of Apollo, and I'm currently on book 4.
Oh.
Best books, in my opinion. Best story, best characters.
DJ has strong
They're
opinions.
so fun. Oh my god. I've been really into
They're really
them.
fun.
Yeah.
I think everyone's been sleeping on them.
Everyone's sleeping on them.
Everyone's
Super
like, oh, I
worth
don't like
it.
Apollo. I don't want to read those because I don't like Apollo. I'm like, dude, you're just missing out.
I agree. Post book 3, I agree.
I still think book
But
1
no.
and 2 and 3 are fucking great.
Yeah, no, these are my comfort characters, and I've loved them for ages.
Awesome. Well, hey, speaking of love, Aphrodite.
Woo!
Sam, I'm going to throw it to you. What do you remember about Aphrodite from the Percy Jackson books?
I remember that she doesn't really look the same to anyone, which is a fact I absolutely was my favorite thing about her, because I like the idea that, like, the most beautiful woman in the world is based on the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
And that was honestly my main takeaway until you guys, like, told me we were going to do Aphrodite, and then I went back and, like, reread part of the Titan's Curse, and I was like, what did she actually say and do?
She shows up in a limo,
Yeah.
which is a mood.
And she's also, like, a bit of a, like, messy bitch, which I love.
She's exactly a messy bitch. Yeah, she's just she just wants the hot goss on Percy's relationship. She wants to see the drama. She's not really interested in what's going on with Artemis.
Not at all.
No, she would be super into the Real Housewives franchise.
Oh, she's definitely watches the Real
producer.
She's the producer. Oh my gosh, my friend is watching Vanderpump Rules for the first time. They're all just the messiest of bitches, and they're just drama is so toxic. But God, you can't stop watching. It's like Aphrodite.
Yeah, no, exactly. That woman would be all over it. She would be like planting little love seeds in there for the characters to like mess up with. She's definitely into reality TV, like too into reality TV.
Absolutely. I think like Hephaestus TV has a whole reality. Like,
For sure.
that's for his wife. Like, they don't get along. Their relationship isn't super great, but he makes sure she's got a whole reality TV channel with whatever she wants to watch. So that's, I feel like, nice.
That's his way of distracting her so she doesn't run off with Aries as much.
Yeah,
Probably,
Aries
yeah.
doesn't like reality TV. Except when he likes the episodes where they finally go to blows. Like, when there's finally, like, a fight, he's all over that, and he wants to watch that one with her. But everything else, he's bored.
Oh, she knows to call him when they're about to go to blows. Like, she can tell, and she gives him a call and is like, hey, it's time for, like, us to hang.
So he shows up, and he's like, okay, I need to know. So he does have her spend 15 minutes explaining the context so we can fully appreciate the fight. Because just watching two strangers fight is like...
I don't know if Aries is super into the context of any fight.
He's got to know...
No,
like,
he doesn't.
No, okay, no, I disagree.
We have already talked about this, Darren, about what Aries actually represents in terms of fighting and violence.
Does Mars care about the context?
Maybe. I know Athena cares about the context.
Athena would also care about the context. Does Athena get called before they go to blows in The Real Housewives, you think?
Athena does not stand for reality television. She's one of those people who think she's better than it.
You know what? But I bet she secretly does like one or two.
Oh, yeah, no, by herself, like when no one's looking, she gets out her popcorn and like watches it, but like she will never admit it to anyone.
Yeah, I feel like she'd be super into like selling Sunset because of all the houses and like the drama at the office. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she'd be into that.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, that is really it for Aphrodite. She's got the one scene, but is it an impactful scene?
It's fun.
It's so good. I would
enjoy
like
it.
to just read what Percy sees. Sam, would you? You had your book, I saw. Would you like to read what Percy sees when he looks at Aphrodite?
Okay, here we go. Percy says that when I saw her, my jaw dropped. I forgot my name. I forgot where I was. I forgot how to speak in complete sentences. She was wearing a red satin dress and her hair was curled in a cascade of ringlets. Her face was the most beautiful I'd ever seen. Perfect makeup, dazzling eyes, a smile that would have lit up the dark side of the moon. Thinking back on it, I can't tell you what she looked like. Or even what color her hair or eyes were. Pick the most beautiful actress you can think of. The goddess was 10 times more beautiful. Pick your favorite hair color, eye color, whatever. The goddess had that. Oh, and this is the best part.
Yes.
When she smiled at me, just for a moment, she looked a little like Annabeth.
It's
strong.
Percy. Come on. I know you don't know yet, but
He's
Very
such a
strong.
simp.
yeah. She's like, Annabeth. And then this television actress had a crush on. And then you get the idea. And just like, but don't think about the fact that I just connected Annabeth to a television woman I had a crush on when I was like 5th grade. Like, let's not
love
connect
about
those
Percy
things.
is he will have these like profound thoughts and then just like move on.
I can't right now.
It's great.
He's like, I can't process this. I'm gonna put a pin in that and just not
It's
deal
so
with
ADHD,
it ever.
and I appreciate it so much.
This is true. Yep, it is so good. Percy being like, oh, the goddess of love kind of looked like my dear friend Annabeth for a second. I'm just not gonna reflect on it whatsoever and actively deny it later on when she says that I'm on this quest for love. Nah, that's crazy. What? Yeah, I love my friends. This isn't anything more than that.
Yeah, it's straight platonic love from my friends. I love Grover. I love Annabeth. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. I love them the same.
No, he doesn't.
No, Percy.
Percy,
no.
my little chaotic bisexual child.
Just I know. And I love it's like, there is a reason that we meet Rachel Elizabeth Dare in 2 chapters. And it is 100% Aphrodite set that shit up.
Yeah.
I love it.
She's like, I'm gonna make your love life interesting. And Percy's like, I think my love life is pretty dull. And it's like, oh, hi, meet
What
Rachel
love life?
Elizabeth. What love life? And then Rachel Elizabeth Dare shows up.
Aphrodite is just like planning. She's the person who's definitely behind the scenes actually planning reality TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, she's the producer. She's feeding the plot line. She's the one that's like, oh, this one wants to get back together with his ex-girlfriend. And she told him that he's not allowed to model with other girls. So I'm definitely going to set up this cute girl to be on the modeling shoot. And she's going to be super in and flirty with him and ask him all these hyper-personal questions. Drama. And you got to respect it. 'Cause it's good entertainment. Yeah, a messy bitch who knows her shit.
True.
Yeah,
very
and
true.
she understands that she's like this. Like, she knows.
Yeah.
And she does not care.
that is the thing. I would say, like, she is well aware. And she's like, yeah, I don't care if you don't like me. I'm love. You have to deal with it.
Which, I honestly feel that this is a really accurate representation of Aphrodite as love, because, like, love is just like that.
It's just messy. Yeah, it's just kind of messy. I totally agree with that.
It's messy and inconvenient and, like, kind of shitty, and it's all in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, on that I'll definitely say
fair.
I think Rick did a pretty good job on that front. So let's pivot. Let's talk about Aphrodite in Greek mythology, because, gang, whoa, we could go on for ages. It's so
Greek mythology
interesting.
was written by men.
But it was also written by men, and that is abundantly apparent when we see how Aphrodite is portrayed.
Yeah.
So one thing is, like, obviously we know, like, Aphrodite, goddess of love and beauty. Also goddess of sex and fertility. These are two things that are definitely not really covered in the Percy Jackson books. They just really
No, these are
skip
young
them.
adult. These are, kids' novels.
Exactly. Like, she's not the goddess of, like, sex and fertility. Love and beauty, and Eros is just the god of love. Dionysus isn't a fertility god. We don't talk about that here.
I
the kids'
mean,
book.
Rick definitely PGs a lot of things. We all saw what he did to the Medusa myth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We saw, we know. And we get it.
Yeah, they're kids.
Like, it's because that's not like shame. It's more just like, I like to point it out because it's wild.
Mhm.
DJ,
What's up?
let's circle back to your person rising from the ocean thing. Where'd Aphrodite come from?
Well, she rose from the ocean from sea foam,
Yep.
from parts of Uranos.
Say it again?
Uranos.
Say it one more time.
Uranos.
Interesting.
Or Saturn. If you want to go with the Roman.
No,
We
Yeah.
never do.
Saturn's Kronos.
Oh, true. You're right.
It's Uranus. Ha ha! I win.
Yeah. I'm tired. I'm not.
No, I'm
Oh,
just teasing.
man.
Yeah. In this is the story that we actually get from Hesiod's Theogony, and it's basically the best known, like the most known account of, like, Aphrodite's origin story. It's the one that we definitely is kind of hinted at in the Percy Jackson book specifically. I think it's referenced in not until Blood of Olympus.
Probably not.
And, like,
no.
Piper mentioned, like, she's thinking, she's like, I'm the daughter of Aphrodite. The giants should be scared of me. She's like the oldest. She's the first Olympian.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really mention that, yes, she was born of sea foam that had. So basically, Gaia, right?
Yeah.
She was basically Mother Earth, married to the Uranos, the sky, and he sucked. So
Yeah.
she got her son Cronus to be like, you should overthrow him. So hide in my womb. Here's a sickle. When your dad shows up, go ahead and just cut his dick off. And he did. And he threw it in the ocean. And the blood from the penis hit the sea foam and became Aphrodite.
It is
And this
weird
all
that the
tracks.
goddess of, like, love and fertility came from a penis.
I actually wrote a paper on that, like, when I was, like, a freshman in college, about, like, how this, like, the male sex organ being the origin of, like, this female goddess of, like, love and sexuality was kind of this, like, thing about, like, the power of female sexuality still belongs to men. Was my like theory, my hypothesis on that paper.
Oh,
But, I mean,
that.
Thank you. I was very proud of it. I don't have it anymore. I wish I did, because I could reference it and also tweak it up and make it better several years later. But yeah, it definitely, I mean, it tracks. Men were writing these, goddess of, like, sex, fertility, the penis. Sure. Don't love it, but okay. Well, just, sure, Hesiod. We're gonna roll
I
past
like
that.
it more than her just being another daughter of Zeus, honestly.
Yeah, which is the origin from the Iliad. Which is the older
The Iliad
origin.
is problematic.
Yeah, I actually didn't know that there was this other origin. This, because the Iliad was, like, first. Really, it was one of the earliest ones. Well, you know what I mean. So this, like, predated, like, Hesiod and stuff, but maybe it's hard to get into. But yes, in the Iliad, Aphrodite is the daughter of Zeus and the ocean nymph Dione, and it's just wild. Yeah, I definitely like her being, like, this more primordial goddess, because it kind of tracks, especially because. So Hesiod claimed that Aphrodite's name came from the word that meant sea foam, but modern scholars are pretty sure that that's nonsense. That was just kind of like a folk etymology, but not actually where the name Aphrodite came from. And they're not sure where it came from, but they're pretty sure it was like from non-Greek origin, because the most common like theory is that the goddess Aphrodite came to like the Greece region by way of like the Middle East. So she was like maybe like inspired by or influenced by like the Mesopotamian or the Sumerian goddesses like Ishtar or Inanna. Because these are both also goddesses of like sex and love and fertility.
I mean, if you look at like all of your big like mythology systems, the Egyptian, the Norse, the like pretty much every African mythology system, Greek, like they all have a goddess of like love, fertility, sex. Like,
yeah,
the other kinds of gods and goddesses, they change who has what jobs, like whatnot, but there's always like one woman who's in charge of love and fertility.
Yeah, it's not super common. You have like Eros, he's a god of sex too, and like Dionysus is a fertility god, but you don't usually see the love and sex and fertility in a god. It is usually like a goddess's role. And I think you could definitely explore, like there is space to dig into like why that is. And like, and Sam, as you just said, like why you have a deity that represents love and sex and fertility, whereas maybe like Greece, we have like our Poseidon, our ocean god. Not every pantheon had an ocean god, because not every culture was really into or influenced by the ocean and thus needed one. But that's kind of like love, sex, fertility, these things, they come up a lot wherever you're at.
I mean, every society needs reproduction at the very least.
Yep, this is a thing that happens. And you said love is messy and inconvenient, so it tends to pop up a lot.
Yeah, I don't always love the conflation of like love with fertility, because like they're very different things. Like a lot of the children being born at this time weren't necessarily from love.
Yeah, that is an interesting, because it's like sex and fertility. Yeah, you need those. But yeah, the love thing is very interesting, and like why is that folded into? And I think it has a lot to do with the emotional intimacy of sex that can be like connected to it, though not necessarily like a requirement or even something that ever happens. We could go on a long rabbit hole down to that. I love that idea, but I don't have any notes on that thought. I mean, we definitely have to talk about what she does in the Iliad, though, because even though we don't like really her being the daughter of Zeus, she kind of causes the Trojan War.
It's definitely the biggest myth about her, like, out there.
Yeah, specifically. Sam, do you want to talk about it?
Oh, sure. I mean, in the Iliad, so pretty much there's the famous competition over the apple. Eris is probably the pettiest bitch in the entire pantheon, and she didn't get invited to a party. And she threw a golden apple that said, "For the fairest," into the party, and expectedly, Hera and Aphrodite fight over it. Unexpectedly, Athena gets in there, which, like, I expect more of Athena, personally.
Yeah, but it also demonstrates Athena definitely also likes reality TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, I'm wise, also, I'm pretty. Damn it. These things do not have to be exclusive. I am the fairest.
Fair. Athena, I want to love her so much, but like she's so problematic, but that's not what we're talking about today.
No, we are going to get into that so hardcore in our episode in a couple of episodes. Like the Athena one, I'm about to go all in. She is very hashtag not like other girls.
Yeah.
So Eris and the Golden Apple.
Eris and the Golden Apple. Yeah, so these three women are fighting over it, and Zeus is like, I don't want anything to do with that.
Wisely. Shockingly. Wisely.
Yeah, probably the smartest thing Zeus has ever done.
Mm-hmm.
But he points them towards Paris, the prince of Troy, who then they go to him and they ask him to judge the contest. And because none of them play fair, they all start promising him things.
Yep.
Hera promises him, like, all this power, and Athena promises him, like, that he'll be successful at war. But Aphrodite promises him the most beautiful woman in the world. And he is a man, so he chose that one.
That one. Maybe he could be a romantic. Maybe he's lonely. He's like, oh, wisdom, power. I'm already a prince. Pretty lady, yes.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm not saying I agree with it, but maybe I don't know. We will get to the Iliad when we get to Oh gosh, The Last Olympian.
Oh gosh, that'll be a fun
That's
time.
really good.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the Trojan War. So yeah, I'll have to find a good translation. I don't think Dr. Emily Wilson has translated the Iliad, so I don't know who I'm going to turn to.
Understand?
The Iliad is dry.
Yeah.
Bet.
But yeah, no, he chose that one, and Aphrodite gave him a already married woman.
Yeah, Helen, who was married to the king of Sparta, of all places. Sparta. Not even
Fuck with
Thebes.
Sparta. What?
Yeah.
Like, there has to have been super pretty women who weren't already married to other super powerful men.
Okay, but that's the thing, though. She promised the prettiest girl in the world.
It just happened to be Helen.
Yeah.
But
Then
as
of
we
Sparta.
learned from Rick Riordan, beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
This is true. Maybe Helen's just the prettiest woman that Paris. She was his ideal. And the fact that she was unavailable probably just made her all the more attractive to him.
Ah, so he's one of those guys.
I
She also-
definitely believe he's one of those guys.
Aphrodite also probably wanted to spark something with Ares because she was getting mad at him at that time.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Or maybe war is a present for him.
Oh,
Like, she was like, I could start a war.
I can start
maybe.
for my boo. That is, I actually kind of love.
I
I
just
know
made
it's
that up and
horrible,
it's my
but-
new headcanon.
That's my new headcanon. She's like, I got the apple and I got my boyfriend a present. Aren't I the best? And Ares is like, I love you so much. And she's like, I know. And Hephaestus is like, I'm here too. This is fine.
It's kind of my
She's like,
wife,
"Hi,
but
do I know
okay,
you?"
Thanks.
I don't, not really. So, yeah. And we got to think, I'll get into this. It's like, I definitely think about like Helen in this. And like, she's already married, but like, we don't know much about her. I mean, we might, but I haven't studied her yet. I would like to think that because Aphrodite's a love goddess, maybe she's like, here, meet Paris. And Helen's like, I love him more than my husband. And she was like, cool with this. But I also kind of think I've read somewhere that she like super wasn't into it until Aphrodite forced her into it.
I've read
So
a few different interpretations of it, and I have to ask, have you guys watched The Legends of Tomorrow?
I haven't. But please, pop culture us.
Great show. And in one of the episodes, they go back in time. And this is really, like, this show is just, makes no sense, but it's really fun. Highly recommend.
Yay.
And they go back in time to the Trojan War, and they find Helen, and she's just, like, up in a tower being like, I went from one man who kept me, like, on this pedestal and didn't let me do anything, and I thought I'd be better off with Paris, and now I'm with Paris, and he keeps me in this goddamn tower, and I hate my life. And the legends take her to the Amazons, and they just, like, let her be an Amazon for the rest of her life.
Oh, I
Nice.
love that. I love
And it's
that.
my favorite interpretation of Helen of Troy because, like, I feel like that's what I want for her.
That's so much better. Yeah. I think in like the Iliad and the Odyssey, she just, after the war, she just goes back to Sparta.
In the plays where the woman murders her husband who comes back from that war, it's like it's a trio of Greek plays, but at the end she goes up to the gods to like be a god with her brothers.
What? That's so good.
Because I can't even remember. So her sister is married to like one of the other kings, and it's gonna really bother me that I can't remember which play this is. But her sister murders her husband, like the sister's husband.
Okay.
And then the kids, like, the son tries to murder the mom, and the daughter is, like, kind of just caught in the middle, and it's, like, it's a mess. And then, like, the son starts blaming Helen for everything because she's, like, the cause of this war, and it's, like, his aunt, so he has access to her, and so he tries to kill her, too. And Zeus is just, like, I'm done with this bullshit, and, like, takes Helen up to hang out with her brothers, and is like, please, all of you, just calm down.
Oh my gosh. I will have to dig into that. That sounds so good. We're going to do a whole episode on like Helen of Troy. Like definitely I need to know. Like she's not mentioned in the Percy Jackson books. I mean, she is, right? But she's like, we don't see her like we see
we
other
could do
folks.
it when Catoptris shows up.
When who shows up?
Catoptris, the blade, her looking glass.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot that's what that was.
Knife.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh yeah, that is where the knife comes from.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. I'll have to put that in the spreadsheet so I don't
she
forget.
could see out the outside world or some weird shit like that.
For
I love
Helen.
in her
Piper.
tower.
She's like such a ideal.
I like Piper too. I think she gets some good stuff going on.
Yes.
She's got that messy bitchness from her mom, but like she owns it in like a different way.
She does in a different way. Yep. And her dad's also like a famous superstar, so you're going to be
I
a
also
little bit
really
messy
like
from
her in
that, too.
Trials of Apollo.
Oh, she's great in Trials of
Oh,
Apollo.
100%.
As soon
She's
as she
amazing.
stops obsessing over Jason,
Yeah.
we get a
When
character.
she like becomes a single bisexual woman, I'm just like here for it.
So proud of her. So proud of her for living her truth. So Aphrodite lets Paris whisk Helen away, and the King of Sparta is like, that's my wife. And everyone's like, we're on the side of the King of Sparta, so let's go attack Troy. And that's because because Athena and Hera are already pissed at Paris for not picking them. They side with the Greeks, Aphrodite, and then so everybody, now the gods are picking sides, and that's how we get like this whole chaotic structure.
And Aphrodite being like this, she starts this mess, and then her son is in danger all of a sudden, and she like swoops in to save him, and I'm like, girl, this is your own fault. Like, you can't just be picking and choosing who gets saved.
Yes, I was actually say that. Yeah, so there's a point in time where like one of her like mortal sons. Oh, it's Aeneas. Yeah, who's really important actually in like Greek
he's like
mythology.
the founder of Rome or something like that.
Yeah, so she like swoops in to save Aeneas from Diomedes, who's fighting him, and Diomedes recognizes that, oh, it's Aphrodite, a goddess, but he also clocks her as a quote weakling goddess. And like stabs her with a spear and like nicks her wrists. And so she like takes Ares' chariot and like runs off back to Olympus. And then Zeus reprimands her for like getting involved because he's like, oh, you're love, not war. You don't belong on the battlefield.
Love and war are so interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
And also love is like a crazy powerful force. Do you know how many people are murdered every year because of love?
Yeah.
Yes, and Sam has just revealed that she does in fact like true crime.
Oh my god,
Avi.
I was literally listening to Wine and Crime before this.
I think that's the perfect headspace to get into before doing an Aphrodite one.
Yeah.
But
That's fair.
yeah, when I like read that, I was like, that sucks. It definitely has like that icky, gross feeling, you know, written by like ancient Greek men. That's the vibe. And I was like, but the war is literally being fought over someone's like wife. And then I had to step back and be like, the war is being fought over someone's property. The King of Sparta isn't angry.
Was.
Yeah, isn't angry because, like, you know, his love of his life was taken. He's there to rescue her. This other man had the audacity to take what belonged to him and can't stand for that. So this whole thing of, like, the way Aphrodite is treated in that does actually kind of vibe with what the themes of the Iliad are about, which, as I've said many times, we will deep dive into that in the future. But it does give a lot of insight into, like, how Aphrodite was perceived in the Greek culture, because like, here's the thing, this son of a bitch like stabbed a goddess,
Yeah,
and then he just gets to get away with it. What?
No,
No, he doesn't.
Works.
No. So you think like that? You think she would just like smote him right? How dare you stand against me and insult me, you worm? We didn't actually get Aphrodite, this like anger and vengeance side of like scorned love, until like much later poets.
Rick's Aphrodite would have smote him immediately.
Oh, just crushed him into the ground.
Like, he would have been an ant and then she would have stepped on him.
She just would have stepped on him. Yep. We've got, I just wanted to agree, just a rundown real quick of like this like vengeful Aphrodite. Specifically when you like someone scorns love. We've talked about a couple of them. Specifically, if you ever decide I would rather hang out with Artemis and Aphrodite, you're fucked.
Yeah, I don't love that about her.
No, we've got Polyphonte is a woman who decided she wanted to, you know, hang out with Artemis instead, and Aphrodite cursed her to fall in love with a bear. That doesn't go well. Hippolytus is a guy who, you know, wanted to hang out with Artemis instead, and Aphrodite was like, absolutely not.
Was Artemis cool with that?
Artemis was super cool with Hippolytus hanging out with her. Yeah, he was like one of her hunters, essentially. Like, they were buds. Because he just wasn't interested in, like, sex or relationship or anything like that. He just wanted to hang out in the woods. Like, this reading, like, you get this guy's probably a very ace arrow. Which Aphrodite was not about.
Which sucks because, like, that is part of the spectrum and she should love the whole spectrum.
You would think. Yeah, she definitely... We should definitely talk about how we, like, what we would like as an Aphrodite, like, views in, like, pop culture to see. But, yeah, so... in response to Hippolytus being killed, Artemis might have sent a boar to kill Adonis. Yes, that one. It may have been Ares because Aphrodite was hanging out with this guy too much. But, like, y'all, I'm not going to get into the Adonis thing right now, but that shit is crazy.
Adonis is a wild myth.
And Persephone is involved? Like,
Persephone is my dream woman.
She's so, yeah, no, I love Persephone. Hashtag justice for Persephone, because if we're talking about what we like, how we like what Rick did in the, with Aphrodite in some places, I don't like what he did with anything with Persephone.
No. Oh my god, him and Persephone I've got issues with. I've read all of Lore Olympus. I have feelings.
Oh. It's coming back soon. Oh, was it the 23rd, April 23rd?
Something like that,
So
yeah.
close.
Very close.
I can't
Very
wait.
soon.
I'm going to die. I'm going to fast pass all of those episodes.
That's going to be great.
So, yeah, let's see. I want to talk about Glaucus, a king of Corinth, who had just a bunch of, like, racing horses that he was really proud of, and he wouldn't let his horses mate because that would slow them down.
Isn't that, like, bad for the horses when they can't mate?
Probably. I don't know enough about horses, but I can tell you Aphrodite did not tolerate that. So during a chariot race, she drove the horses mad, and they tore him apart. They tore Glaucus apart.
Casual.
I would like to circle. I feel like this circles back to my earlier thing from our Hercules episode, the Labor's episode, with horses are dangerous and could fight wolves.
Oh, yeah. But, like, I'm just saying, one horse is not going to take down a pack of fucking wolves,
And I
Darian.
didn't say it was one horse. It was a pack of wild. We can't do this again. We can't. We have a guest here.
I feel like pack of wolves versus pack of horses
I
would
think
just
the
be a
wolves
lot of
still win that.
bloodshed.
I think the wolves still win that, though.
I don't know. I don't think either comes out unscathed.
No one comes out. No one
they
wins.
don't come out unscathed.
I don't think anybody wins.
I'm just saying the wolves win.
I don't think anybody wins.
don't think
Speaking of
anybody
not
wins.
winning, let's talk about Diomedes again. You remember that guy from the Iliad? So, later poets, as we said earlier, were like, hey, he can't just get away with that, right? No, he can't. Because in, like, later stories, what happens is, to punish Diomedes, Aphrodite curses his wife.
This woman blaming nonsense.
Woman blaming nonsense. So his wife's name was Aegialia, and basically Aphrodite cursed her to just commit adultery left and right while he was at war.
I hate that.
I don't love it, but also, no, I do wish she had just cursed him directly, but...
And the only way I would love it is if this woman was unhappy in her marriage and just was kind of like doing whatever she wanted while he was gone, and then he came back and she was like, well, you pissed off Aphrodite, so this is your fault.
This is your fault, obviously. I mean, he did see the goddess of love and say that she was a weakling, so I wouldn't be surprised if this woman was not happy in her marriage to begin with. So, listen, basically anytime you scorned love or Aphrodite, things were just not gonna go well for you. Sorry. Doesn't matter if you're BFFs with anybody else. Like, it's gonna be over.
No one can protect you from love.
No one can protect you from love. I'd like to talk about Ovid for a moment.
Oh. Don't love Ovid.
I know, the hack. But so Ovid gives us a full account of the story of Pygmalion, who definitely would have worn a fedora and spent a bunch of time on Reddit circa 2008.
I love that you wrote that joke into the notes.
I didn't want to forget it. I was very proud of it. So he was a sculptor, a very handsome sculptor, who, quote, was sickened by the immorality of women and just refused to marry or have anything to do with, females.
Okay, MGTOW ass.
So you think this would actually piss off Aphrodite, but no, because Ovid was a man, and obviously this was a man, and it was fine for him to do this because he happened to be carving a beautiful sculpture of Aphrodite that he fell just madly in love with. And because he was so pious and so devoted to Aphrodite, Aphrodite brought the sculpture to life.
Okay.
Some sources say this woman's name was Galatea, and Pygmalion married the sculpture lady.
So I read a version of this myth forever ago that was like Aphrodite tried to make it look like a present because Pygmalion was favored by some other god that she didn't want to piss off, but she actually like gave her just like the like most annoying personality and like made her like so pure and immodest and like all of the things that he seemed to idolize that she like wouldn't have sex with him.
I like that a lot more. I like this a lot
That's
more.
pretty good.
It's
That's
like,
actually really
yeah.
funny.
So That's Aphrodite. She's got her ups and downs. I mean, I think we'll see
It's just any god.
Any god.
Any god
You know,
has
the
their
myths
ups and
are written
downs.
by
It doesn't
different
really
people.
matter.
You've got sometimes like, yeah, Hermes seems great. And other times like, he's a monster. Like Apollo? Holy shit.
Oh my god, Apollo, I want to love so much, and then like, he like does so much that's like not cool, fam.
So, Aphrodite in pop culture. Sam, do you have any favorite examples?
I do actually like her in Lore Olympus. I think she's fun. Like, she's not there a lot, but she's just
super
like petty.
fun. I love her in Lore
I
Olympus.
didn't even write her down. Oh my gosh, I
Ridiculous,
forgot. Yeah, no. Well, I try not to cover Lore Olympus too much because I feel like if we mention it too often, we'll go off on a wild ass tangent
Well,
every time.
yeah, of course.
But like her light purple color is like one of my favorite color schemes of the
super
comic.
strong.
So good.
I just like her. I just like that art style of Lore Olympus. I think it's so
no,
gorgeous.
yeah, no. The artist is very talented. Yeah, I also like what they're doing with the Psyche myth in Lore
Yeah.
Oh,
Olympus.
yeah, it's
and,
great.
like,
That's amazing.
yeah,
I like that her and Psyche are like she was like gonna be petty about it, and then she saw like this really upset woman and was like, you know what? It's fine. You hurt my son. I like want to teach him a lesson. Want to help me do this, and then they like become besties. I like it.
yeah, I like it. We do get like she's a petty, messy bitch. Like Hades says that Persephone is more beautiful than Aphrodite, so they get Persephone drunk and then dump her in the back of Hades' car so she'll look like a sloppy, messy bitch. And then later on, when she meets Persephone again, she's like nicer and supportive. Not like she pretends it didn't happen, but she's like more like, oh, no, what does she say? Oh, she's mad because Hades is still with Minthe at the time. And she's mad, and that's right, Aphrodite's mad at Persephone. She's like, we don't let nymphs take what is ours, which is toxic in this like women be women mentality she's got going on. But also it's like
Lore Olympus Aphrodite is super toxic, but like she's also
very
so real.
strong
Like
way.
she's not all good,
Yeah.
she's not all bad. She's super toxic. Like I grew up in LA. She is every like teenage girl I grew up with.
oh my gosh, yeah, I can imagine. It's like, oh, this is real. You actually grew up in the movies.
Yeah, no, Aphrodite and Lore Olympus is like, I know 10 girls just like that, where it's like they're good people on the inside, but they're kind of petty and they're messy and like they could easily be on a reality TV show, but like they'll be there for you when you need them to be, and it's fine.
Nice, yeah.
Fair.
DJ, do you want to talk about Aphrodite and Smite?
Yeah, I was actually going to bring a picture up of her. Sam, if you'd like to take a look at it too. Because it's hard to talk, like, obviously Aphrodite, she's a support. She's a healer, essentially. She can bond with somebody and they can heal that person. And then she's got like a pushback to push them off of them and also...
Did you just Google Aphrodite
I did.
apropos? Like, no, you definitely have to be more specific. There
Smite,
we go.
yeah, I just... No thought.
I
had
did.
that.
I saw in the notes that you mentioned Aphrodite was in Hades, the video game, and I know you guys love that video game,
Oh,
so
it's
I like looked
wonderful,
up
and I
what she
love her
looks
in
like in
game,
that.
too.
Oh yeah, I want to talk
but
about
she
that. But
is-
yeah, so yeah, she looks
Like, this is her base skin, and I'm like, yeah, she looks like a goddess of sex.
yeah, Aphrodite and Smite looks like what you think Aphrodite would look like in a video game.
Yeah, she's got a lot of fun skins, too. Okay.
Oh,
Thanks
yeah,
for doing
that's
that.
about what I expected. I
Yeah.
just looked her up.
She's got a witch skin. There it is.
Oh, I do.
Of course. But my favorite thing about that specific skin is that like when she uses a basic attack, she actually throws the cat out of her broom, and if it hits a wall, it just starfishes against the wall and
Oh,
slides down.
cat! It's fine. It's a video game cat. You
Yeah.
said she was a support one. What is?
Well, she's a mage. She's classified as a mage,
Mhm.
but she has like massive healing abilities because she links with somebody, and then she can throw out like doves that do damage if they hit,
Mhm.
and heal you and the person you're linked to.
Oh, that's cool.
A lot. It's so annoying to deal with.
Oh.
And then her ult is she and the person she's linked to become immune and CC immune for like 2 seconds. Very
Nice.
strong.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I was
that's it.
yeah,
There's
you
not
had
much.
to make time for Smite.
Smite segment. All right, moving on.
Yeah. But yeah, so in Hades. So Sam, have you not played Hades? Did you take your earbuds?
I like
Shit.
don't video game.
That's okay. I don't video game much either. I play Animal Crossing, Kingdom Hearts, and Hades.
Yeah.
But Hades looks like so much fun, and I've
It's a
heard so many
blast.
people talk
Oh
about
my
it now that
God,
I'm
it's
like, I
such a
feel like
good
I need to
time.
play it.
It's so fun, and it feels so good to play. Like, not even like the satisfaction of playing, but like the gameplay and just the mechanics of playing, of combat feels good to do. So I can't.
Very strong. I'm very shocked that Darian likes it because of the kind of game it is.
Yeah, it's a roguelike. I don't like games where you fail and restart. Like, I get easily frustrated. But the way Hades is set up is like when you fail, yeah, you lose all the things you got, but you get to keep some stuff, and then you get to interact with all these characters at like the House of Hades. And the dialogue is so interesting, and these character relationships are so rich that like I died and I didn't get out like I wanted to, and I got really far, and that sucks. But I have a nectar, and I'm gonna go talk to Thanatos.
Yeah,
It's
when
good.
you die, it's a game that's like you never really win. You just do a little better each time,
Yeah.
and
It's
then
also just
eventually you do win.
Also,
I
everyone's
love
hot.
this art. Aphrodite.
Oh, it's wonderful,
Yes.
right?
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. Talk about, so in like Hades, if you know haven't played, you are going through as Zagreus, who's son of Hades, just learned his mom's Persephone. He wants to get out and meet his mom for the first time because she's not in the underworld. We don't know why. There's mysteries about.
Is it summer?
But
No,
he's
this is
never
before
known
that
his
deal is
mom.
made.
Ooh.
It's very interesting. Yes. So
It's been an eternal winter on Earth.
we don't
and
know that yet.
Well, we don't.
Hold
but
on,
we
but if
see
Sam's
it.
gonna play it, like,
Are you gonna play it?
I think Sam's gonna play
I
it.
mean, I'm gonna say I'm gonna play it for like the next 3 years, so like not really.
There you go.
Okay, so yeah. Well, it's cool. Ice Grandma's great.
Ice cream.
So
That's Demeter.
yeah.
Okay.
So you get to meet like the gods because they know because Nyx has contacted Olympus, and so they can't go down to help Zagreus, but they can like send him messages and send him boons, and so that's how you get power ups, and that's how you get cool abilities. So like Aphrodite's boons are like specifically, they kind of seem like they're a support thing too, in that they apply like around like applying the weak status effects on enemies, or like, you know, making like a charm effect to make enemies briefly fight alongside Zagreus. I actually don't use her boons often because I like more of the ones that seem like expanding on the attack, but
Yeah.
actually reading about what she does, I'm like, I should do like an Aphrodite run and see if I can get some of these boons because they sound really great. What I like is that because the gods talk about themselves, they also talk about each other.
Oh, it's great.
So it's like, oh, I see, like, maybe you're talking Poseidon and you have like an Artemis boon. Oh, I see you've been in contact with Artemis. Oh, that's interesting. She doesn't talk to the rest of us. It's interesting that she likes you enough, right? So they're all petty. They're all gossiping at each other. But in these like dialogues, Aphrodite is described as like the most dangerous of the Olympians. Like they warn like daggers do not cross her. And that's really cool. In the art style, she's also just completely naked.
Just buck ass naked.
Yeah, and the way
Is she
she's like
naked?
oh,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
totally
Yeah,
naked.
she is. I didn't even
Yeah.
notice.
Yeah,
Her
and
hair
that's
is nice and flowy.
yeah, and that's actually what I like about, because usually, you know, you have like, oh, a sexy lady character in video game. Oh, she's totally naked, and it's supposed to be like very obvious, very like titillating, and I like don't vibe with that. It feels gross to me. Aphrodite's design doesn't feel gross to me. Like even though she's naked, the way she's posed isn't like to show off. I mean, she's posed all flirty and stuff, but it doesn't feel like
Her hair.
her hair's covering, and it's more just like she's the goddess of sex and beauty. Why would she cover up any part of herself? She'd be like, I'm perfect.
Yeah.
And that's what it reads. That's what it feels like. It's not for the player who is viewing her. It is to tell you more about her character and why she is like this. And I really like it. Also, just she's gorgeous. They're all gorgeous.
Yeah, the
like
art style is
everyone is
very
hot in this
strong.
game. It's so good.
Art style is very strong. Even Orpheus.
Even well, Orpheus looks like this very sad Sandman, which is not unreasonable, I think. But yeah, we don't get to see her a lot because it's randomized like what gods we
Yeah.
get. But I think Hades does a really good job of
Very strong.
giving us the sense of the gods. I think Aphrodite is one that's like right away you get a very good sense of like who she is as a goddess, and that's cool. But I think my favorite depiction of Aphrodite in pop culture actually comes from Hercules the Animated Series.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I can't say I've seen it.
Yes, I think it's the thing that older millennials very likely remember, and younger millennials definitely missed out on. I mentioned it a couple times, but I don't think I've ever explained it. There's a whole time when Disney was creating animated shows based off of the Disney Renaissance movies. And so there was an entire like animated series of Hercules that takes place before the Hercules movie. but he knows he's the son of Zeus and like has the gods, but he's like in school. It's like a high school
So they
type
like
thing.
retconned it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So it's kind of AU-y, but it works. And like he gets involved with mythology and gods and stuff. And Aphrodite shows up in a couple of episodes. One of the ones that we've actually talked about on the podcast, we talked about in our Medusa episode. Because Medusa is in there and Medusa has a crush on Hercules, but she's a Gorgon and she turns people to stone and people are afraid of her. And so Hades and Aphrodite both show up to help her. Hades obviously wants to destroy Hercules. So he says, oh, I'll just disguise you as a pretty lady, right? And Aphrodite's like, I'll give you glasses so you won't turn anyone to stone by accident. But your friends will accept you for who you are. You shouldn't have to hide that about yourself. And she goes with Hades' deal and things go wrong and it kind of all explodes. But what I liked about this, eventually she does take the glasses and stuff. But I really liked that this was this idea of like Aphrodite who's like, you are beautiful. You don't need to change what you look like or who you are to be accepted by others. Yes, you do turn people to stone, and that's a problem. We can help with that. But you don't need to change yourself physically to be accepted by others. And I liked that as this is an Aphrodite thing. There was also, and I'd forgotten about this until I was researching it up, an episode that is a play on the Pygmalion myth that we talked about earlier, where
That's
I guess
weird for Disney.
It's wild, right? So in this episode, Hercules needs a date for the school dance. Classic plot.
Yeah.
And the art teacher is Pygmalion, who has his wife who just adores him, and it's literally the statue lady. So Hercules makes a statue and calls on Aphrodite to bring her to life. He's like, yeah, just make sure. I just want her to adore me. And Aphrodite's like, okay. And she does. And you got the statue. And things don't go well because the statue who's just supposed to adore Hercules, you can say, very clingy, very insecure, very jealous. And he tries to ditch her on an island. And then she shows up at the school dance and things break real bad. And Hercules finally admits that he's like, I made a mistake. This isn't fair to bring this lady to life. Galatea is what her name was. And then just make her like, just care about like, this was terrible. So he calls on Aphrodite and he's like, please give her free will. Like, I want her to be able to choose what she wants to do with her life. And that's like the lesson you're supposed to learn. And so Aphrodite does, and Galatea is her own person and she starts dating Ajax. Good for her.
Incredible.
Good for her.
Yeah.
That's a plot for a lot of different side things that I've seen a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like where they just like make a thing that's specifically for adoring a character.
Yeah.
And then it just goes awry.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this is bad, actually. Yeah.
Very, very poor.
Yeah, it's like
Shrek scary story thing.
Yeah.
So, like, I know this isn't the point of what you just said, but is that, like, the same Ajax as the Iliad? Because those are very different time
probably.
periods.
Yeah, no, the Hercules animated series did just grab anybody they wanted.
Cool, is Achilles in there?
Probably.
I think
wouldn't doubt
so.
it.
I think so. His friends were Cassandra and Icarus.
What the hell?
Yeah, so Cassandra had visions of the future all the time, and she was like a moody goth girl. And Icarus was just like kind of a chaotic fuck up who did fly in front of the sun and was just ridiculous, but he was
Is this
fine.
on Disney Plus? I need to watch this.
Yes, it is. We should probably do a whole like series about just watching this. I think that'd be content
fun.
people would like. I don't know. Tell us, listeners.
I'm
would you
about
like
to
hear
watch
us talk
this.
about- Yes. So yeah, it is fun. At the end of the episode, it's also shown that Pygmalion's like statue wife is equally like obsessive and not good, but Pygmalion doesn't care because she adores him. That's all he actually wants. He doesn't care about anything. He sucks is actually the plot is that the art teacher sucks actually.
Don't love
And I do
that.
like that we at least slid this in there where Aphrodite's like, now that guy sucks though. Like he didn't learn the lesson he was supposed to learn. I can't do anything about that.
Aphrodite's like, I give this wish to teach people a lesson, and that guy's just an idiot.
And that guy didn't
That guy's
learn
just
it.
a little bit self-centered. He's whatever.
Yep. I mean, there's tons more Aphrodite in pop culture ones, but I don't know. I liked those ones because they felt fleshed out, I think is the thing. I feel like you get a lot of like love goddess things and she's a little like one-dimensional, but I felt like she was really fleshed out. So I mean, at the end of all this, examining her in Greek, her in the Romanverse, her in pop culture, what do we think about Aphrodite? Like, what makes a good Aphrodite for us?
I mean, I think that's the thing is, like, a good Aphrodite's not super one-dimensional. Like, so many of them are just, like, about love and sex and, like, this very, like, idealized woman. But, like, that's not what she should be. Like, she should be this, like, messy bitch who, like,
Yeah.
is love.
Yeah. I definitely have always been a little cool on Rick Riordan's portrayal of Aphrodite. I feel like, especially when you see like the Aphrodite cabin, is just feels like Valley Girl, Mean Girls in makeup, like
Well,
very
to be
flat.
fair, they're also led by Drew.
Okay, but in the first series,
They're
it's
led by
Selena
Selena.
Beauregard,
And she's great.
and Selena's great.
Yeah.
But we also don't really see the Aphrodite cabin in the first series, so they could have been more like love is love, not like.
And the only time we
Maybe.
ever see Selena actually go into battle is when she's trying to force Clarice into battle.
Yeah, well, so, I mean, in Titan's Curse specifically in this one is where we get kind of a better look at the Aphrodite cabin, and it's because they hate the Hunters of Artemis, because Aphrodite and Artemis are just always have to be opposed. Originally, they weren't in early stories, but again, like later Greek poets were like, they're opposites.
So why doesn't she have a problem with Athena? Because it doesn't seem like her and Athena have like an outright problem in
Athena
the
still
same
has
way her and
kids.
Artemis do.
Athena
Yeah.
still has kids and falls for people.
Yeah, but like in the poems, she doesn't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's because as like the goddess of the hunt, Artemis's like virginity was part of her character in a lot of different layers. Like it was her independence. It was also like the hunters, like a tradition of the hunt was to like abstain from sex before going on a hunt like that. And so it was a kind of more central to her, not to say it's not central to like Athena's character, but it was central to Artemis's in a different way for different reasons. So it became a little bit more like, oh, here's Artemis and she's like a virgin for XYZ, and here's Aphrodite, and they would become like dynamically opposed. Whereas Athena is more like a virgin because she's meant to be like this perfect woman, whereas Artemis isn't meant to represent that. So that's my theory. I will have to dig into it a bit more to see, but that's what it reads to me as why. But yeah, but anyway, so in the Titan's Curse, the Aphrodite cabin, it's mentioned that they usually don't play Capture the Flag, but now they're going to play because it's against the hunters and they hate the hunters, but they're all struggling to get their armor on because they don't want to ruin their nails.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, I hate that. I forgot
Yeah.
that happened.
That was rough.
No, yeah, it's like, oh, I don't feel good about that. My friend, past guest of the show, Skylar Barsanti, when she came on for the Artemis episode, she read the whole book to make sure she's like, I got this. And one of the comments she mentioned to me while reading it was like, has Rick Riordan ever met a competitive cheerleader?
Yeah.
Because they are serious about their looks as they are about their sport. Like, there's no
Yeah.
reason why the Aphrodite cabin don't have like titanium nails that they don't have to worry about getting scratched. Like, they look perfect while murdering you. Like
I feel like that would be a better, I feel like that's Piper's Aphrodite cabin is like, we look perfect and we are amazing and we can murder you.
yes.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, it feels like a lot of like, you get an Aphrodite who feels like a little flat, very not involved. They're like, oh, I'm not interested in war. I just care about boys and gossip and reality TV. And I didn't like that because I'm like, she's this primordial goddess. She's the oldest. She's loved. She's powerful. Why isn't she more? And then researching this episode, I was like, oh, actually, Rick portrays her very accurately to the Greek mythology, especially the Iliad. Like, yeah, she can be like petty and like spiteful, but like, she's kind of rather accurate to the way the Greeks were writing about her. So I guess my actual problem is ancient
Not
Greek
enough
men.
fanfic.
Not enough fanfic. I
See,
want
that's
my
one thing that I appreciate about like Rick's interpretation is like, I know we're not here to talk about later books, but I feel like he does
Please.
retcon his like Aphrodite a little bit throughout the
Rick does a
Heroes
lot
of
of things a
Olympus,
little bit.
especially.
There's a lot of things he looks
Yes.
back on. I was like, no.
I could do more. Yeah.
Yeah, like because he kind of like recreates Aphrodite as more of a like messy in a different way, like messy in a like kind of more fun way in the later
Yes.
books. And he also retcons the Aphrodite cabin to be more like love is great and crazy and like we're gonna look great and kill you at the same time.
Yeah, I think we definitely get more of that. I don't know, because we don't get a lot of the Aphrodite cabin post like Lost Hero, obviously, because we don't spend time at Camp Half-Blood after that point. But yeah, it would be nice to get a little bit more. I think what you mentioned earlier, how it sucks that Aphrodite has such a problem with like Ace Arrow characters. I think like, oh gosh, there was this quote because I was like on the Percy Jackson wiki to like brush up to make sure like I wasn't forgetting anything important that we should talk about. And the wiki notes that She was shown to have a deep grudge against those who have, air quote, perverted notions of love, such as the self-absorbed narcissist and the asexual Hippolytus, and would punish them severely if she could. And as the resident ace, I would just like to say, big yikes.
Yeah, that is a big yikes. Because, like, I agree with Narcissus. Like,
yes,
fuck him up. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, I don't know. I feel like being ace and aromantic is, like, its own form of love in its own way. And, like, I feel like she represents that in, like, reality, too.
Yes, I would like to see an Aphrodite who is more the broader spectrum of love and what that means. But I think it gets into very, like, her, when you have a version of her, when you have, like, her, and what am I trying to say here? When we get a representation of Aphrodite, her love component gets heavily tied into the sex component. And so we don't see a lot of love outside of romance for Aphrodite. Like, familial love tends to fall to Hera as the goddess of marriage, though Aphrodite, I learned, was sometimes also associated with marriage for that reason. So these familial ties, and I don't know. I know there were, like, probably other gods, because the Greeks had a bunch of different names for different love, and so those... But I feel like, you know, it would be very interesting to get an Aphrodite who supports, like, ace arrow people and stuff, because self-love is also important to her.
I feel like Lore Olympus Aphrodite would support ace arrow people.
I agree. Yes. I agree. As long as they don't compare anybody else to being more beautiful than her,
Yeah.
I think she would support anybody. Like, live your truth.
I
love
think
yourself.
she would be like, you get your self-care routine down, honey, love it.
Yep. Because I think it is this powerful notion, like, yes, love isn't powerful. Yes, love is important, and it makes you crazy. But I also think, like, we're talking about, like, self-love, which is a very hard concept, because that having too much of it or too little of it can also, like, make you just as crazy as loving someone else. It influences you. And so I think Aphrodite would value the importance of caring for oneself as much as you care for others. And so I think she would be unhappy to see folks who are not being true to, like, their identities and sexualities because they are trying to force themselves to portray the version of love that they believe other people want at the expense of their own, like, the love for themselves. I don't think she would like that. I think she needed to have told Piper that she shouldn't have been with Jason, because obviously she's a lesbian.
I mean, I agree completely. This Aphrodite, I feel like Aphrodite is probably the god that has most grown with Rick as he's learned, because, like, he is a white man, and in the first couple of books, it feels like it, and that, like, slowly peters off, and I feel like the best representation of that is how he represents Aphrodite and Aphrodite's children.
Yes, we get more.
Because there's that whole nonsense with Drew and being like, each Aphrodite person has to break someone's heart, and that's, like, our routine.
That's so sad. It's so sad. It's like,
so
no.
sad.
Like, yeah, I mean, Piper gets his whole, like, at the end of the Blood of Olympus, when Percy and Annabeth have, like, their big kiss in Athens and stuff, and she's thinking about, like, yeah, how, like, Drew was like, oh, being a daughter Aphrodite means breaking someone's heart, showing you have that kind of power over love. And she's like, that's not power over love. Like, having power in love means protecting someone's heart and valuing their love, not just trashing it.
I've also read some really great fanfics, like Percy Jackson fanfics, that have Aphrodite being, like, a much more, like, inclusive, fun version of herself. And I'm, like, I kind of conflate the real Aphrodite in the books and, like, fanfic Aphrodite sometimes.
Yep. Shout out to Fran of the Best Damn Camp Pod and also Entering Storybook, who just does that all the time with Regina in our Once Upon a Time podcast. She's like, actually,
I love
hold on,
Once
that was
Upon a Time.
fanfic.
It's so good.
It's, yeah. Hey, are you listening to our podcast? It's super fun.
I haven't gotten to it yet, but it's on my list. I'm so excited.
Yay! We just released the Beauty and the Beast episode recap.
Oh.
I lose my ever-loving mind. It's why it's so fun to just listen and be like, oh, Darian's just lost her mind.
Rumple being the Beast was a great...
I think that was...
Like, that was a beautiful thing, that story
so good.
that Once Upon a Time did.
The amount that I've seen of Once Upon a Time, I think that was one of my favorite things, is Rumple being the Beast.
It was
very strong.
Good. Yeah, that was like the strongest of like Belle and Rumple's relationship, and they just coasted for the next 6 seasons off that one episode. They never even got close to touching it again. But they tried so hard to make us believe it, and we just held on to that one episode. It just fed us through.
That one episode was so good.
And that was so good. And the actors, that episode could have been like absolutely weak if it wasn't for the actors and just how they brought it and their chemistry. Like, ugh. Not what this episode is about, though. Well, Sam, do you have any final thoughts? Or did you have an Aphrodite thing?
The only reason that she didn't tell Piper not to date Jason is because she was busy with the soap opera that was Persebeth.
Honestly, I kind of agree with that.
Not wrong. Okay, thank you, DJ.
Yeah. when you said that, I'm like, no, she was busy with Annabeth at that point in time.
It's like, Piper's my daughter. She'll figure it out. I have faith in her. You just have to learn lessons. I'm over here.
I also feel like she doesn't involve herself in her children's love lives because she, like, knows how powerful they are on their own, and she's like, I can't mess with this. It's, like, too much for me.
I like that. She's like, I'm gonna watch my baby birds fly. I have to believe that they're gonna be able to figure this out. Piper, no. It's okay, baby, I love you.
She's one of my strongest daughters I've ever seen, and oh dear God, what is she doing?
Oh, dear. It's all in. She's standing there like it's all Hera's fault. It's all Hera's fault. This is Hera's fault. That fucking homophobic bitch.
Yeah. Oh my God. I imagine that she's like scared of touching her children's love lives because they're just like too much.
It would just, no. She's like, I can't over here. I'm just going to go over here and just fuck with Poseidon's kid. It's funner.
Yeah, no, she's like, there are all these other kids at camp who I'm going to mess around with. My kids, I am stepping back.
I don't have to. They caused their own drama, and I'm so proud of them.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's make our way out. Sam, anybody else have any like final thoughts on Aphrodite or anything we wanted to talk about? Anything you wanted to get a chance to talk about while you're here before we head out?
I love her. I love that she's different in the eye of the beholder. I love that she's messy and chaotic and changes over time with Rick's like changing, and I just think she's well done. I know that she's like not everyone's cup of tea, but I feel like that's part of the point.
Yeah. I was very glad to have someone on being like, I love the way Aphrodite is portrayed, because I think DJ and I have just been like, what is this? It's nice to be like, tell us your conflicting opinions. We would like to hear more. This is a great, big, beautiful world. I get why she's super
problematic and toxic, but like she's supposed to be.
But she is in fact supposed to be. This is true.
I actually enjoy the way that she was portrayed in the books.
Again,
all of them, honestly.
I mean, I still like wish she was more, but again, as I said earlier, after researching, I'm like, oh, this actually feels pretty true to mythology. All right, so I just have to write my own Aphrodite. It's fine, I got this.
Yeah, write the fanfic of your heart, because I've definitely done that a bit with Aphrodite.
Yay, the fanfic of your heart. I love it. All right, Sam. Well, hey, let's swing by the big house. Do you have any trophies to show off? Anything you'd like to plug?
I mean, you guys should all listen to my podcast, The Chaos Cast. We're currently on a unknown length hiatus, but it's good what we've got out there, so. It's a women's history podcast. Each episode we spill the tea about one woman from history and all the cool things she did and how she was wronged by men, because they were all wronged by men.
DJ, did you know Julia Childs? She's the lady that did French cooking in the U.S.?
Yeah, you told me about her.
Yeah. Did you know she also was probably a spy who invented shark repellent?
Yes, you did tell me this.
I love Julia Childs.
Did you know that before I told you?
Not.
I learned it from their podcast.
Nice.
There are so many random facts about women. Just women are great.
So they are great. And yes, so Chaos Cast, you will find link. I mean, like plug your socials, but you'll obviously links will be in the show notes.
Yes, we are at The Chaos Cast on Instagram and at _The Chaos Cast on Twitter. You can also find us anywhere you find podcasts.
Yeah. And Sam, do you have any personal things you want to plug? Anything if people just want more of you?
Oh, if you want just more of me, I also crochet on Instagram at wicked.stitch.
I love that!
Nice.
So if you ever want to see what I'm making, that's like a good place to check. Also, my cat, I post about her a bunch.
Oh, that's good. I should post more about Hero on the...
I don't know if you guys watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, but my cat's name is Azula.
Oh,
nice. That's very good.
I'm just getting my PhD, so there's not a lot else in my life at the moment.
That's so cool, though. Congratulations on that. It takes so much effort.
Thanks. It's exhausting.
I can imagine.
I believe it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out and talk with us about Aphrodite. This is so fun.
Thanks for having me. And let me know when you guys do Achilles, because I am obsessed with him.
Oh shit! I will put you in the spreadsheet. You will get to do Achilles. It's been
Probably
dibs.
in last Olympus, given the fact that Achilles' curse comes up.
I mean, I think Achilles shows up in that.
Yeah,
one.
Achilles is
Does
in
he?
Last of Olympus.
That's
Yeah, yep,
ridiculous.
yep.
I didn't even know
So,
that.
yeah. Yep, he's in there briefly. So yeah, we will. I will
Okay.
get you on the spreadsheet, Sam. We'll have you back.
Yeah, him and Patroclus are like I love them so much. I read the Song of Achilles and I'm obsessed with it still.
Sam, you got to play Hades. Sam, you got to play Hades. Trust me. Sam, trust me. You got to play Hades.
Okay.
Worth it. If you like Achilles and Patroclus on your heart and you like angst and heartbreak,
Oh, yeah.
you will like this. I promise. It will be worth your time.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you all for listening. If you want any more of us, we are about to release our big spoiler-heavy bonus episode on Trials of Apollo, as we promised back in early March over on Bunker 9. But first, for anybody who has not finished Trials of Apollo or just wants to recap before we do that, DJ did a special episode where he told his friend Julio, who has not read these books, all about the plot of Trials of Apollo. It's a wild time. You can check that out over on Patreon at patreon.com/podcast of Poseidon. All right, but that is going to be it for us. Sam, thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate
Thank you again
it.
for having me. I had so much fun.
Yay. Thank you all for listening. We will be back in your ears on Tuesday, April 26th to talk about Talos. But until then, don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Don't be like Zeus.
Podcast of Poseidon is created and hosted by Darian and DJ Smart. It's edited by Darian Smart. The show is produced by Darian and DJ Smart, as well as
Tim O'Connor. The Crystal Con Man. Dionysus the Drunk. Our music is Athens Festival by Martin Hain, and our cover art is by Audrey Miller. You can find her on Instagram at bombshell.nutshellart.
Like the show? Ready for more? Support Podcast of Poseidon on Patreon. Just $1 gets you exclusive bonus content. Find out more at patreon.com/podcast of Poseidon.
Can't spare the drachmas? You can support the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcast or by sharing us with your friends. Find all of our episodes and episode transcripts at podcastofposeidon.com.
Thanks for listening.